Welcome to The Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today. Look, if you've spent any time at all exploring the world of digital publishing, you've probably been completely bombarded by tools promising to turn you into a best-selling children's book author overnight. Today, we are taking an objective, deep dive into one of the most talked about launches in this space right now, the AI Kids Storybook. We're going to pull back the curtain, look at exactly what this tool is, how it actually works, and most importantly, what the real numbers look like. Okay, let's dive into this. So, here is the central premise we're exploring today. Can a tool that literally costs less than a takeout dinner actually build educational children's books that sell on highly competitive platforms like Amazon, KDP, and Etsy? I mean, these platforms are flooded every single day with thousands of AI-generated uploads, which makes it harder than ever to stand out. There is a massive amount of hype around AI publishing tools right now, and honestly, an equally massive amount of skepticism. We are going to cut through all of that noise today to find out what's really going on under the hood with this specific system. All right, here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll look at the AI consistency problem. Next, we'll unpack the GPT kit itself. Then we'll walk through the three-step workflow. After that, we'll explore the KDP and Etsy market reality. And finally, we'll break down the true costs and give our final verdict. Section 1, the AI consistency problem and why standard AI just breaks down. If you've ever tried to write and illustrate a children's book using a standard AI chat window, you have probably asked yourself this exact question. Why is it so incredibly frustrating? You know the feeling, right? You start out full of hope, the AI gives you this brilliant opening page, and then the whole thing just falls apart. The core issue is that when you use standard AI, it asks for everything all at once. You dump your topic, your age range, your characters, and your setting into one massive wall of text. And the AI immediately gets overwhelmed. Halfway through, it completely forgets the page structure. It skips the visual layout, the page size starts drifting, like one page is square, the next is portrait. It forgets the text and image rule entirely. And honestly, the absolute worst part? Character drift. Your main character has brown hair on page 2, blonde hair on page 5, and a totally different face on the cover. Standard AI doesn't have a memory problem, it has a structure problem. So, how do we move from that total chaos to a workable system? Well, the old way is defined by that massive wall of setup questions, characters that change constantly, and formatting that just won't behave. Every new book feels like you're starting from absolute zero. But the AI Kids Storybook way attempts to solve this through rigid structure. It uses a guided setup, it locks in consistent characters, and it mandates exact text placement on every single page. A highly structured system is really the only way to solve that AI memory problem. Moving right along to Section 2, unpacking the GPT kit, what it actually is and what it isn't. Listen up, because this is perhaps the most important takeaway in this entire explainer. The AI Kids Storybook is absolutely not a standalone software application. It is a custom GPT builder kit. Think of it like a highly specialized instruction manual that sits directly on top of ChatGPT, basically acting like a manager, keeping it strictly on task so it doesn't wander off. It's a set of copy and paste rules and workflow instructions that you drop into OpenAI's custom GPT feature. Because of this, there is an honest catch you need to know upfront. It requires an active $20 a month ChatGPT Plus subscription to even function. Furthermore, it doesn't generate the final images itself. It generates the prompts that you must then take over to a separate image generator like DALL-E or Midjourney. So, what are you actually buying? You're buying the underlying structure. The kit relies on 6 built-in consistency rules. Rule 1, it asks you one question at a time during setup. 2, it forces a strict page-by-page output. 3, it includes a text inside image rule, instructing the image generator to put the story text right into a rounded bottom text box. 4, it enforces character consistency by cleverly repeating the character's physical description on every single prompt. 5, it locks in book size consistency. And 6, it automatically generates a highly valuable final lesson and review page. All right, Section 3, the three-step workflow, going from a blank page to a structured output. The entire workflow is broken down into 3 super straightforward steps. Step 1 is answering the GPT setup questions one by one. Step 2 is confirming the story setup before you generate a single page. And Step 3 is just copying the generated page prompts over to your image generator. It's totally designed to eliminate all the guesswork. What makes Step 1 so incredibly effective is exactly how it functions. Instead of demanding a massive, complicated prompt from you right up front, the custom GPT asks you for details one at a time. It asks for the topic, Then it waits. Then the reading level, the number of pages, the book size, and finally the main character. It waits for your answer before moving to the next question. This simple change in the sequence is exactly what prevents the AI from getting overwhelmed and drifting off topic later on. It's brilliant in its simplicity. Once you've answered those questions, you arrive at step 2, confirming the setup. The GPT gives you a neat little summary: the topic, the size, the specific character description, and the visual style. This is an absolutely vital failsafe. Look, if you've ever spent hours generating a book only to discover on page 14 that your main character suddenly has the wrong name or that the vocabulary is way too advanced for toddlers, you know what a total nightmare that is. You usually end up having to scrap half the project. This confirmation step locks in all those details before the real work even begins. And that structured workflow directly leads to these highly educational final pages. You aren't just getting raw text output, you're getting structured, ready-to-use content. These final lesson pages summarize the core story lesson, like, say, learning to say I'm sorry or being inclusive at the beach, and they include specific review questions and even an optional activity. For educators, homeschoolers, and folks buying on Etsy, this structured review page is what actually makes the digital product valuable in the real world. Which brings us to section 4, the KDP and Etsy market. Let's talk about what actually sells right now. Here is the unvarnished truth based on our source analysis. This market is incredibly competitive. If you use this tool to just make a generic, broad book about kindness or sharing, you're going to get buried under tens of thousands of existing titles. Generic books fail. What succeeds are hyper-specific niches that solve a direct problem for a targeted audience. Parents are out there actively searching for very specific tools to help their child navigate a specific developmental hurdle. This tool gives you the speed and the structure to produce a book, for sure, but you absolutely must bring the market strategy. To put that into perspective, take a look at these examples of specific niches. Instead of a general book about being good, we have a targeted book about listening at the fire station, and another about road safety featuring a crossing guard. These are the exact types of resources a teacher or a parent actively types into a search bar when they have a very specific lesson they need to teach. When you combine hyper-specific topics like these with the speed of a structured workflow, well, that is where the true potential for success really lies. Finally, Section 5, True Costs and our final verdict. Is this thing actually worth the hype? Okay, so the big, shiny front-end price you will see on the sales page is $17. This is a one-time payment for the core custom GPT kit, which includes those consistency rules and formatting structures we just discussed, plus 4 fast-action bonuses like topic ideas and Pinterest pin titles. But we really need to look beyond just the front door price. Let's do a little expectation versus reality check, shall we? Yes, the core kit is $17. However, as we noted earlier, you absolutely must have a $20 a month ChatGPT Plus subscription to even use it. Beyond that, there is a full sales funnel of optional upgrades, what the industry calls OTOs, or one-time offers. You'll see upgrades for creating book series at $37, coloring books for another $37, activity worksheets for $47, and publishing resources on top of that. If you bought the whole shebang one time, you're looking at around $143 plus that mandatory monthly AI subscription. Now, the sources note that these upgrades are logical, helpful extensions, and they are not strictly necessary to use the core $17 product, but it's absolutely vital you know they exist so you aren't caught off guard. So let's get down to it. Who is this actually for? On the pro side, it genuinely solves the AI character and formatting drift problem. It has a wonderfully logical workflow, and that $17 entry price is super low risk. The cons? It strictly requires that monthly $20 ChatGPT subscription, you still have to use a separate tool for your final images, and there is a very strict no-refund policy on the entire funnel. If you are an active creator who already uses AI and you just want a structured, repeatable system, this is a highly solid workflow tool. But if you are looking for a magic one-click button that does everything for you with zero effort, you should definitely skip this. And that leaves us with one final question for you to chew on today. Is automating the structure of your workflow and completely escaping the chaos of raw AI output worth that initial $17 investment for your creative process? It's a tool, not a complete business in a box, but in a market that aggressively rewards consistency, a little structure might just be the most valuable thing you can buy. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I really hope this deep dive